All right. So, hi, everyone. Welcome to Innovative Leadership. My name is Devin Dean, and I work with the Central Mountain Small Business Development Center in Salida. Today, we are here with Jess Bonasso. She is an entrepreneur, coach, author, speaker, and the self-rescue goddess. For the next hour, Jess will be taking us through Heal Your Life, the secret to freeing yourself from sabotage, stress, and strife. Got one more coming in. All right. We are recording this session so you can watch it on demand later. If you have any questions, please feel free to type them into the chat or come off mute. As Jess said, this will be an interactive session, so we will be able to get your questions answered. But if you do prefer to wait, we will stop the recording at the end and you can ask your questions at that time. Next slide, please, Jess. So just real quick before we jump in, the Central Mountain Small Business Development Center offers no-cost confidential consulting as well as free or low-cost workshops, such as this one, and assistance with access to capital. So please reach out if you would like to register for free consulting. Next slide. All right. Our center serves Chaffee, Lake, and Park counties, the 3 yellow areas in the center, but we are part of a 14 center network. So if you do not live in one of our counties, we are happy to get you in touch with your best local resource. And with that, it is my pleasure to present Jess Bonasso. Thank you, Jess. Thanks everyone for being here.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Devin. I really appreciate it. And I'm so grateful to you and Jamie, even though Jamie's not directly on today. I heard her in the background earlier. So thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to share some value and content with everyone today. I'm really looking forward to this. So we're going to dive right in. And I do want to say this is going to be a little bit different than anything you've ever experienced before. So first and foremost, I'm going to be asking you some questions at the beginning, early on, so that we can, just kind of assess where you might be struggling with some sabotage, stress, and strife in your own life. So I encourage you to be open with this experience and to be willing to share. We'll be doing that here in just a moment. And also, we're facing some kind of interesting stuff here today. A lot of times we don't want to actually face and feel our pain. So talking about sabotage, stress, and strife can be a little bit stressful in and of itself, but it's one of the keys to self-rescue is to learn how to face and embrace what's no longer serving you. So I'm hoping that this will be helpful for each of us today. And I really appreciate you being willing to share and be willing to participate. So today, we're going to talk about how to heal your life and also a cellular secret to freeing yourself from sabotage, stress, and strife. And I'm actually going to give you a small little taste and experience of what that is. So first and foremost, what I'd like to do is have you put in the comments or in the chat on a scale of 1 to 10, if 10 is absolutely extraordinary, how much do you love your life currently? And I want you to go ahead and just share that in the comments below. Share that in the chat. Let's see, I want to take a look and see what we have here. So, and like I said, we're doing interactive. I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions right here, right now. So Magdalena is saying she'd rate her life at about a level 5 out of 10. Tamika's saying around 6 or 7. That's not too bad. 5 is not terrible, right? You're not in the 1 range, but it sounds like there might be some room for growth and opportunity there. Rebecca is saying that she's at a level 9. Okay, great. And again, if you haven't answered, I want you to go ahead and participate in this because this is giving you a chance to really check in and see like where in your life might you be in need of self-rescue, right? This is a great sort of leading question to ask yourself when it comes to, am I in need of self-rescue? Even Rebecca, who's at a level 9 right now, her life might be going super gangbusters and going really well, but there might be some things that are still missing. And, we always have desires of beyond where we are now, no matter where we are in our life. So, Tammy, you're saying you're at a 7. Oh, Magdalena, that's okay. That's okay. Yes, it will be available for replay. And I hope you come back and check it out because it'll have a practice that I'm going to take you guys through a little bit later so that you can actually release some self-sabotage that might be holding you back. So make sure you come back and watch this again, okay, Magdalena? And let's see, Devin. Yeah, she's saying she's going to send that out in the slides today. And I'm so sorry, but I'm trying to see and scroll down in the chat, and I can't see what other people are saying. So again,
that's all that I saw. I think you hit everybody.
Okay, cool.
Awesome.
All right. So for those of you that have responded, and if you haven't responded, pick out that number in your mind. Like, where am I at on that scale of 1 to 10? Now, what I want to do is I want to be interactive. So I want you guys to participate in this. Now, I want you to think about in the level that's missing, right? So for Magdalena, for example, you're at a level 5, right? What's the 5 that's missing? Or for Rebecca, what's the 1? For Tamika, what's the 4 to 3 that's missing in your life currently? And I'd love for you guys to share. Let's go ahead and come off of mute and just share that out loud, popcorn style. Whoever wants to go first. Tammy, I see you're off of mute. I'm going to pick you. Do you mind?
No. From 7 to 10, what's missing would probably be for me more acknowledgement.
Acknowledgement. Okay, say more about that. What does that mean?
I don't feel like I'm recognized as much as I should be.
Okay, fabulous. Okay, so there's a lack of recognition and acknowledgement from others around, what is that? Your value, your worth? Like, what is it that you're wanting to be acknowledged for?
Or that would be my work. Your
work. Okay. Yeah. Okay, great. And I love this. She's talking about work, but I want you guys to realize that, we're women, right? We're not just in a profession. And I mean, most of us here are probably working women for all the ladies that are here. But you could look at this at your life as well. Like, what are the things that are missing in your life? So not just business related, but really looking at the whole picture, because one of the things that I see with working women is that, and this has actually been proven, one of the top 3 biggest challenges that women face right now is really figuring out how to achieve work-life balance. So we tend to overwork, and then we reject other parts of our life, or we neglect other parts of our life, and then that leads to problems later. So we really want to think about, as entrepreneurial women, how do we create that work-life balance? Otherwise, we're going to get to a point where the lack of work-life balance actually becomes a form of self-sabotage, right? Okay, so Tammy is saying a lack of acknowledgement. Magdalena, since you're still here, what is it that's missing for you, hon? Oh, you're on.
We got hers in the chat. So just
I see. I'm going through a divorce and facing the need to get back in the workforce after 20 years of being a homeschooling stay-at-home mom. Okay, great. So the career piece and maybe some wealth and prosperity is missing for you. The ability to take care of yourself and your family on your own, right? So you're facing, that's a pretty big challenge right now, because it's something you haven't been, like 20 years of being a stay-at-home mom. This is a huge transition that she's going through, you guys. And I'm willing to bet there might be some limiting beliefs and maybe some mindset stuff that's like, this is a little bit scary because you've been in a comfort zone and now you're having to step out of that comfort zone and create some change in your life. All right, I respect that and I honor that, honey. I just want you to know I feel you. Tamika is saying she feels like she needs more balance. Yeah, great. As she's trying to transition from traditional workforce into her own business. Yeah, same kind of a thing. Different transition. You're coming from a paid career where you get paid no matter what, to owning your own business where you are the one responsible for figuring out how to attract clients and whatnot. So that's a whole different transition that you're facing. You're also saying that work consumes a lot of your time and you don't feel space to be creative and motivated right now to do your own thing. Okay, yeah, so there's some things right there that are missing, like clarity and direction on how to create and build a business that's going to be self-sustaining. Maybe there's some limiting beliefs around that as well. So anything else that someone wants to share around what's missing? Would love to hear more. Rebecca and Tamika, if you guys have some information you want to share with us. Actually, Tamika, you just shared. Okay. All right. So now what I want you to think about is not just what's missing, but what is it that you really want? Like, for example, over the next year, if you knew you could not fail and you could have your heart's desire, you were living your life at that level 10, what do you really want? Either type that into the comments or share out loud. Love for you to share out loud so we can be interactive and engaged with this. Just take a moment to answer that question and think about it. Sometimes we don't have clarity on what we want. And this is one of the reasons why I asked this question, is because if you know where you are now, right? I'm at a level 7 right now, but you don't know where you're going and you don't know what level 10 looks like. It's going to be really hard to get from point A to point B if you don't have an idea of your desires. All right, so Magdalena, you're saying peace, confidence, good relationships with your kids and with God. All right, beautiful. Beautiful. I love that. Right? And so whatever you create in order to fill in what's missing, you want to keep in the back of your mind that peace, that confidence, the good relationships. We want to be practicing alignment with those desires, right? What about you, Tammy? Would you be willing to share what you want? Like, what is it that would make you happy?
Well, I don't know what a 10 is. So,
Yeah. Thank you for sharing. I mean, here's the thing, like that is in and of itself could be a form of self-sabotage, right? Not knowing what you want, and that gives you some cause to go, gosh, what do I want? So I mean, if you had a sense or a knowing, I mean, you know, if just going off of what Magdalena said, even like it could be a way of feeling in your body, it could be peace of mind, it could be maybe there's something specific that you want to attain or accomplish or achieve. You mentioned earlier you're not feeling like you're feeling recognized for your work. So what would the opposite of that be? That would probably represent a desire for you.
Well, I'd certainly like to get the excitement back from my work that I used to have.
Okay, so a passion for work.
Mm-hmm.
What else?
I'd certainly like that. I'm in a transitional phase right now.
Okay.
I sorry, I wasn't ready to go all dark, deep and deep.
It's okay. I know I am a button pusher when it comes to this. I usually make people go deep, so it's not your fault.
The only way out is through, right? I just turned a number last year that made me qualify for Medicare.
Okay.
And it's kind of like, what do I do with that? I just had the most recent doctor's appointment. Now that one day I was 64, the next day I was 65,
Yeah.
even my doctor's appointments are different.
Yeah.
I did not see that coming. Kind of like when the kid turns 18 and he's dating a 17-year-old, and they were both 17 a minute ago. And I've had this happen with a gentleman that worked for me. Then the day he's 18, all of a sudden he could be accused of things with a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
I don't have it like that, but I do have it like, wow, that was an overnight change.
Yes.
And I still love where I am, the building. And since this is recorded, I probably shouldn't say too many bad things about my work because,
Yeah.
They're the ones, paying for me to take this. I don't even know where I was going now. Just the whole, should I not work anymore? Should I figure out what I don't even like to say golden years are?
Right.
And I don't know, well, like I said, I don't know what the 10 is. I don't know what I would do if I had all the time and money and could do anything I want. I don't even know what that is.
Yeah. Yeah. You're not alone in that. I totally understand this. And I work with a lot of women in my business who the thing that's holding them back is the lack of clarity and understanding of what they desire. It's that lack of direction. And when we don't know where we're moving toward, it's really difficult to take action. We can stay stuck. It causes us to feel like we're stuck or confused. And it actually it results in an inaction, the inability to take action. This is where you're going to see procrastination take place, or you might find that you're just sort of drifting and not taking focused action. You're taking action, but then it doesn't really feel like you're moving the needle forward because you don't know what you're moving for. So I just want you to know you're not alone in that. And it's okay that you're in this position. I think that this happens a lot for women, especially if we were used to things being a certain way for a certain period of time, like Magdalena, who's left us already, was talking about being a stay-at-home mom for, 20 years. That was her job. And now all of a sudden that's no longer needed. And she's like, well, now what do I do? Right. And so this is why I asked this question, is because this question is really great. The scale of 1 to 10 question for figuring out, where am I now? Where do I want to go? And also, what is it that's standing in my way? And you're starting to get some clarity around that, Tammy, as is Magdalena, and hopefully Rebecca, who's listening as well. And I'm curious, Devin, would you be willing to share what your rating is, what's missing, and what you really want? Would you be willing to share with us so that we can play in the sandbox with you too?
Sure. Let's see. I hear you, Tammy. That wondering what does a 10 really look like? And that's probably, it's going to be different for everyone. And so I would say, yeah, I'm in the 7 range. I think. Yeah, that's what I feel like. That's where I'm at. Yeah, sorry, the second part of your question.
What's missing and what do you really want?
Oh, I mean, freedom, just that freedom to of time, no time constraints on anything, and having being able to work anywhere. That's always a goal, and just keeping up with your dreams of traveling. And so I guess that's still the same freedom. So that's freedom with time and freedom with money.
Yeah. And I'm also hearing flexibility. So these are
Sure.
things missing,
Sure.
but we're also, and Tammy, I want you to see this. Do you
Sure.
see how when she talks about the things that are missing, how they actually can also equal the things that she wants?
She wants flexibility,
right? Yeah. So Tammy, earlier you were saying, I don't feel like I'm being recognized for my work. I don't feel like I'm being seen or acknowledged. So maybe living your life at a level 10 is figuring out how to feel more recognized for your accomplishments at work. And maybe there's some actions you can take to help move the needle forward in that, right? So it's important, I think, when we are clear about what it is that we're wanting to create and what it is that's missing, that we then can work backwards and start to reverse engineer and figure out, okay, well, what are the actions and the steps that I need to take, or what's the personal growth and development work that I need to invest in order for me to get from point A to point B, right? Or to get the clarity in the direction that I want. So hopefully this is going to be helping you just a little bit, Tammy. And at the very least, it's giving you an opportunity to start asking yourself these questions. Self-discovery work is so important, especially for us as women. When we don't know what we want, this is where burnout, stress, and strife starts to come up, because we go into sort of a forcing mode and we start to operate from a place of force versus a place of true power, ease, and grace. Okay. And when we're operating out of force, we can move the needle forward, but that's not where the magic happens, and we can actually burn ourselves out in that process. So, all right, well, what I want to do is I want to kind of move on to the next piece of what we're talking about here. So I'm going to skip forward in these questions here for a moment. Hang on a second. So we've asked what's missing. We've asked, what do you really desire? What I want to talk about now is just self-sabotage, because that's kind of the topic for today's session. And I want to define what self-sabotage actually is. And so fears, beliefs, behaviors, or actions that hinder one's own progress, success, or well-being. This is actually a definition that I looked up online. And self-sabotage often involves consciously or unconsciously undermining oneself, sabotaging opportunities, or engaging in counterproductive behaviors that prevent us from achieving goals or fulfilling one's potential, right? So if you think of that scale of 1 to 10 as your own personal sort of thermostat for your goals or your potential, Right now, for those of you who are less than a 10, you can kind of see that maybe there are some unconscious or conscious patterns or behaviors that might be holding you back. And the more that you get clarity on what is holding you back, those inner saboteurs, that's why we call this self-sabotage, and overcome those inner saboteurs, we can actually move the needle forward in our life greatly. Oftentimes, that's the stuff that really keeps us from filling in what's missing, even when we do know what we want and desire. So, I want to talk about some of the different types of self-sabotage to give you guys an understanding of what this looks like perhaps in your own life. And so the first type of self-sabotage is what I call biological instinct. And this is where when we're operating out of fight, flight, freeze, or even fawn mode. Fawn is those people who end up taking care of others in order to make sure everything is okay, right? So there's some instinctual stuff that's happening. So as an example, if you're not making enough money to make ends meet, you might be operating out of a lack and scarcity or survival mode. And that's going to cause you to operate out of, the fight, flight, freeze, sorry, I'm saying it wrong. Fight, flight, freeze, or fawn mentality, which is that forcing mentality that I was talking about earlier. We're really not operating in power when we're operating out of fight, flight, freeze, or fawn. The other thing that can cause self-sabotage is our programming and conditioning. So how we were raised, what we were taught to believe, experiences that we've been through, and beliefs that we may have formed as a result of those experiences. A lot of that can actually hold us back. Also, ego patterns, habits, and behaviors that no longer serve us. And let me give you an example of what an ego pattern is. I work with the Enneagram personality system, and the Enneagram has 9 different personality types. So if we look at this from an ego pattern perspective, there are 9 ego patterns that we tend to operate from. We might be a self-sacrificer or a helper or a perfectionist. We might be someone who doubts ourselves all the time. We might be a peacemaker where we're trying to, avoid conflict and make peace as much as possible. But in the process of doing that, we sabotage ourselves. We might be a drama queen. These are all examples of ego patterns that can hold us back. We might be an overachiever, for example, or maybe we're an intellectual type and we like to be on our own and not hang out with other people and be in community. And this could all lead to unhealthy habits and behaviors that actually hold us back. Like the helper on the Enneagram has a habit and a tendency of over giving and over helping others to the point of self-sacrifice. And this is I see a lot of helpers in my line of work who are burning the candle at both ends and helping everybody else but themselves, right? So that's a pattern that actually holds them back. Another thing that holds us back is fears, pain, and trauma that we might have been exposed to. And the fears, I just want to mention the fears. Each one of the Enneagram blueprints and patterns that I was just mentioning has a core fear related to that pattern. And in my experience, the fears that we face every day are sort of the linchpins that keep us stuck and keep us from moving the needle forward, even when we are consciously trying to move the needle forward. So if we can really start to unravel the core fears and the pain and the trauma that put those fears in place, this is where true freedom lies. When we talk about living our lives from a place of power versus that lack, scarcity, and force mentality that I was talking about earlier, it's really the fears are where that magic happens. And I'll just give you some examples of fear, like a fear of not being seen as valuable or worthy, a fear of not getting it right, a fear of not being lovable, or a fear of being abandoned and rejected, a fear of conflict, the fear of fear itself, fear of not being competent, not being good enough. I mean, at the end of the day, a lot of our fears have to do with something about not being good enough. And often this comes from moments in our life where we experience some sort of deep pain or trauma, some sort of an emotional experience, and we formed a limiting belief or a certain type of mindset about that experience that actually limits our capacity as we move forward to create what we desire. And that's the 5th type of self-sabotage, or limiting beliefs and toxic mindset perspectives that keep us hold us back and keep us small, keep us operating from a small space. And so with this in mind, I want you guys to think about too, there's also 5 self-rescue mistakes that we make as human beings. And I'm saying we because I've done this myself. Like, I don't think there's a human being on the face of this planet that hasn't experienced one of these mistakes themselves in the past. And so an example of one of these mistakes is playing out the victim role. Like, I want you to think about this. A lot of us have this perspective that life is happening to me or against me. So when we're going through some sort of difficult, hard time in our life, we feel victimized. And if we're operating from that victim mentality where we're not looking at this as an opportunity for growth and to move the needle forward and to just simply overcome what's not working, if we play the victim to that, there's some benefits to playing the victim. But at the end of the day, being the victim in the victim role isn't something that's going to help us become our own hero. In fact, this is something that actually could hold us back and continue to cause us to sabotage ourselves. So that's one of the mistakes we make. Another mistake that we'll make is we avoid feeling and facing our pain. You know, like I said, we've been talking about like our sabotage, and a lot of us don't want to talk about that because we don't want to face that. It's embarrassing. We have shame around the things that hold us back, or shame around the things that cause us pain in our life, or just a fear of pain itself, right? So we avoid feeling pain, but in reality, facing and feeling our pain is where our true healing lies and our true freedom. Another mistake that we'll make is we are sometimes resistant to change. Humans love to be in their comfort zone, and that's where we can actually learn how to master something. Like when we're in our comfort zone, it means that we've mastered something, and it might be something that isn't necessarily serving us. Like we might have mastered a bad habit or an unhealthy behavior that we need to change, much like we could master learning how to ride a bike, for example. So anything we do over and over again will eventually lead us to a comfort zone. But the key to really learning how to master the art of self-rescue is being completely open and willing to grow and evolve, right? So being resistant to change can really hold us back. Another thing that can hold us back, and a mistake that we make as a human, is looking for a quick fix. We don't understand that change takes time. So even if you do embrace change, oftentimes we want it to be fixed right this second. And that makes sense because we're trying to avoid pain and we don't want to be the victim anymore. But if we're looking for a quick fix, that means sometimes we're not really committed to the long-term process. And then the other thing that we can actually make a mistake around is just having a lack of clarity over what it is that we want, which leads to a lack of integrity with our dreams and our desires. And that's why I said, if you don't know where you're moving toward, it's going to be very difficult to practice self-rescue and become your very own hero. So with these mistakes in mind, I want you guys to think about, and I'm just going to go ahead and stop the share for a moment. I want you guys to think about, for those of you who joined us in between the beginning and now and who've been with us since the beginning, I want you to think about what is it that's sabotaging your success right now, that getting to that level 10. Let's really name that. We've already talked a little bit about with Tammy, who has shared a little bit about her journey, but like, what are some of the limiting beliefs that might be holding you back, or the forms of sabotage that currently keep you stuck? And again, this is interactive, so please share. Tammy, would you be willing to start since you're unmuted?
I could identify with 3 of those 5.
Okay.
Definitely resistant to change.
Okay.
That's a tough one.
Yeah, I know. Okay.
Yeah.
Would you mind sharing the other 2 that you resonated with?
Let's see. I don't play the victim, so that wasn't one of them.
That's good.
Yeah. I've already got through all that.
Yeah. What are some beliefs that hold you back?
The beliefs.
Now, like if you think about not being recognized for work or not being acknowledged, what's the belief around that feels sticky or icky?
Probably a lot of it is has to do with the resistance to change.
Okay.
Um, I don't like to think of myself as we've always done it this way and this is the way it always has to be, because I like progress and everything, but I think it's the changes that happen for me without a lot of communication.
Okay.
Just, one day this is what we're doing now, you know.
Okay.
Um,
So there's some resistance to change. So like, is it like a belief like change is not easy, change is difficult, change is hard? Like those could be some beliefs that you have around change. Or maybe it's something more personal, like I'm not good at changing what's not working, or I'm not good enough. I'm sort of extrapolating based on what you're telling me, but I want you to kind of dig deep here. What is that?
Certainly, not good enough feeling
Yeah.
shows
Okay.
up a lot.
Yeah. Okay, great.
Um, and maybe I'm feeling like I can't keep up.
I can't keep up. Okay, great. I want you guys to hear this. I'm not good enough. I can't keep up. Maybe even that belief that change is hard, right? And I want you guys to think about, we all have limiting beliefs, right? I mean, we all have beliefs from our programming, our conditioning. Devin, I would love for you to share too, when you were talking about earlier, some of the things that you want and desire, but don't currently have. Is there anything that you can think of belief wise that keeps you from filling in what's missing?
Sure, maybe it's, like that's not for me. That's not,
Okay.
that's for other people. That's, other people's successes, but that's not how I get to accomplish what I want. I gotta
Okay.
do it the hard way.
Ooh, I love this. Okay, great. Can you see how powerful that belief is? That it can actually be like, I've got to do this the hard way. It's not for me. I have to do it the hard way. I know a lot about this. I've done that myself. Okay, great. So, and Aaron, whoever the C Aaron is that just joined, I apologize. I want you to be thinking about that as well. If you're willing to share, feel free to type in the comments what your beliefs are. Same thing with you, Rebecca. But I want you all to be thinking about, what is it that's sabotaging your success and the belief system that's actually keeping that locked in place? Because the belief is related to the fears that keep us stuck, right? A fear of stepping outside of our comfort zone, a fear of creating what we desire because we don't feel like we're good enough. We all have some measure of not enoughness in our life, right? So I want you to just be thinking about what that looks like for you and what it is that's sabotaging your success. And we're going to work with that in just a moment. All right, so I'm going to come back to the share here. Hang on a second here. All right. Hang on a second. All right, so here's the thing I want you to realize. We all have self-sabotage. I don't care how much you've worked on your personal growth and evolution, or how much you've become the master of your own destiny. At some point or another, we all struggle with self-sabotage. And at the end of the day, you're only one decision away from becoming your very own hero when it comes to that self-sabotage. And this is really important to realize. Is like every single day we get to show up and make decisions about whether or not we want to be the victim to our life and have life happen to us, or whether or not we want to become our very own hero. So how I became my very own hero, I want to share just a quick story about how I actually got into the line of work that I'm doing today and how it relates to the conversation we're having today. So when I was in my 20s, I was climbing the corporate ladder, taking one position after another just because I did really well. I was really committed to working hard, and I wanted to prove my value and worth, because when I was young, I grew up in, for lack of a better word, we'll say poverty conditions. I remember all the way up until 5th grade, we didn't even have running water or electricity in the home that I grew up in with my dad. And even though he was doing the best that he could, I developed a belief system about what success meant. And I had a belief that in order for me to be happy and successful in life, that I was going to have to make as much money as I could, and that I was going to have to prove my value and my worth. So hard work became sort of my mantra. I've got to work hard for everything that I do. And I did, because I didn't have the money or the resources to create a destiny that was easy. I had to work my way through school. I had to pay for every single ounce of that. And so while I was climbing the corporate ladder and working my way through school, I was doing a great job at both, but I did that for pretty much all of my 20s. And by the time I got to my early 30s, I literally had a midlife crisis. And there was this day when I realized, because I was dealing with back pain so bad that I was considering surgery, I had anger management issues, I was dealing with depression that I'd been on medication for at that point for about 7 years. And my relationships, one of which was a friendship, started to disintegrate. And she actually sort of rejected me. She stopped being friends with me because I had become such a toxic person. And I remember there was this one day, October 5th of 2005. I remember the day. And it was in the morning where I was sitting down on the floor, having heard this news that my friend was no longer wanting to be my friend anymore because I had become so toxic, when I realized all of a sudden that I had become a victim to my life and that I was in need of self-rescue. And it was like a light bulb went on. And instead of, I'd been playing the victim role pretty heavily up to that point, like, woe is me and life sucks and why is this happening to me? And there came that moment when my relationship, my friendship disintegrated, where I realized, actually, no, I was the one who was toxic. And it was my mindset and my perspective that was really creating the toxicity. And I remember sitting on the floor in front of my husband and crying about what was going on. And I also was very clear that I was the problem and that no one was going to come and save me. And if I wanted to fix what wasn't working in my life, I was going to have to become my own hero. And I remember telling him, I don't know what it's going to take or how I'm going to do it, but I swear to you, right here, right now, today, I'm going to do whatever it takes to fix and correct what's not working in my life. Like, I am no longer willing to play the victim. And I'm, like I said, October 5th of 2005, this is when I realized that if I was going to become my own hero, I needed to commit to it. And this was the decision that I made. And literally 3.5 weeks later, I learned about something called the journey. And the journey method is a healing modality that actually can help you go in and heal at a cellular level any self-sabotage that you might be dealing with. Now, I'd never heard of the journey before. I didn't know what the journey was. In fact, I didn't even know what the mind-body connection was. I didn't know that you could have an emotional issue be the root cause of a physical health injury that you might be dealing with. In fact, my low back pain that I had been dealing with for years at that point, I come to find out later that the emotional probable cause of low back pain is not feeling safe and supported financially, which relates to the limiting beliefs that I had as a child and the need to work hard and prove my value and worth as a 20-year-old working my way through the corporate ladder and trying to prove my value and worth in the world, right? So my back pain physically manifested from this emotional issue. And I synchronistically, after I made the commitment to become my own hero, I found out about the journey from a massage therapist that I had just been paired up with one day randomly. And she had intuitively gotten a hit that what was going on with my low back wasn't physical at all, it was emotional. And she is the one that suggested I read a book called The Journey Method by Brandon Bays. This picture that you see here is Brandon. She's the creator of The Journey Method. And so I picked up a book, I read her story, and her story is about healing herself of a tumor that was the size of a small basketball in her uterus. And the healing that took place around that was not physical in nature, even though it healed the tumor. It was actually an emotional issue where she had been processing some verbal abuse that had happened to her when she was a child through her mom. And when she actually went in and processed that memory in a way that helped to heal the trauma and the pain that she experienced as a result of that verbal abuse, that's when the physical healing actually occurred. So she went in and she did forgiveness work around this, and she actually healed that memory. And when she healed that memory, she healed herself. So I learned about this journey method 3 weeks after making this commitment to myself. I decided to work with a journey practitioner. I did 2 journey sessions over the course of one weekend, a physical health journey and an emotional health journey. And 3.5 weeks later, my back pain was completely gone. The anger management issues that I'd been dealing with for years at that point was gone. And I felt like I had a new lease on life. And I was so excited. It was like I had cleared the clutter that was holding me back. And now I could sit down and figure out what is it that I really want and desire. And I actually envisioned leaving the corporate world because I realized I wasn't happy there anymore. I was tired of the hustle and grind. And I envisioned the business that I have today. And I made a decision, even though I didn't know how I was going to go about doing that, that I was going to figure out how to make that vision a reality. And it was the journey method that helped clear all the clutter that gave me the opportunity to sit down and get real clarity around what it was that I wanted. And this is when I decided that I wanted to become a self-rescue coach. And over the years, I've done that. I've become a self-rescue coach, an author, and a speaker. And I'll tell you more about some other things that I've created over the years. But it was that one decision to become my own hero that I believe is what led me to learn about the journey. And I think the universe responds to energy, right? Quantum physics dictates that you are what you think, and the energy you put out there is what you will attract to you. And I've been putting out this victim energy and attracting a lot of victim-like experiences. And it wasn't until I started to say, enough is enough. I'm going to become my own hero and change the way I looked at this, when all of a sudden the journey method came into my experience. So what I want to do is I want to actually take you guys through a little taste of this. So hopefully you're not driving, for those of you who are not joining us through video. If you are driving, don't worry about participating in this. You can come back later, because I'm going to have you go ahead and close your eyes for a minute. And I want you guys, each of you who are here today, I want you to just participate in this. And I want you to close your eyes, and I want to give you just a little tiny taste of how the journey method could perhaps help you heal your life. And so I want you to take a moment and just take a big deep breath in and exhale. I want you to really get connected to your body. So another full deep breath in and exhale. Good. And then I want you to get connected to what we were talking about earlier around self-sabotage and beliefs and feelings and emotions about those beliefs that are holding you back currently. And I want you to just feel what that feels like in your body for a moment. So we're just bringing awareness to the feeling state. For example, Tammy was talking about that she's not good enough. She can't keep up. The change is hard. Devin's talking about that she has to do it the hard way. It has to be hard work. It's not for her. And I want you guys to just think about, how does that feel in your body? Notice if it feels heavy or light, dense or dark. And you might even notice where you can actually feel it in your body. It might be in the pit of your stomach, or your solar plexus, your heart, your throat. And wherever it's showing up is perfect. And so I want you to just, as you're feeling that denseness, that energy, I want you to imagine these beliefs are sort of like armor that you've been wearing and holding on to for a very long time. And it doesn't matter where that comes from, that armor, where you decided to put that armor on, but that armor's here. And I want you to feel the heaviness of that armor. And then I want you to imagine that for a moment, you're standing in front of a beautiful sacred campfire, the nature of which is unconditional love and acceptance. And at this campfire, next to it, you can see there is a video screen. And you can imagine that in your hand, you have a remote control. And I want you to imagine for a moment, when have you felt the way that you're feeling right now before? And there might be more than one memory that pops up. So for each memory that pops up where you felt this way before, go ahead and put those memories right up there on that video screen. Just bloop, 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 until they're all up there. all the times where you felt this way before, where you've believed this before, where you operated from this way of looking at things before. And we're just putting those memories up on the screen so we can remember what happened, what took place, etc. And then I want you to play those memories out in fast forward motion so you can remember who was in it, what took place, what your part in it was. Good. And then I want you to invite your younger you down from that video screen to join you at the campfire today. And you'll notice that next to the younger you, there's also a mentor in whose wisdom you know, trust, and love standing there. And this could be a saint, a sage, a friend, a family member, maybe even someone of your own imagination. Might even be just your higher, wiser, braver version of yourself, your hero self. And we're going to invite that mentor to hand this younger you a beautiful, brightly colored bouquet full of balloons that have qualities and resources that, if you'd only had them at the time, could have helped you handle things differently. And so I want you to imagine for a moment what each of those resources might be as the mentor is handing you one balloon at a time, filled with the qualities and resources that could have possibly supported you and uplifted you and helped you become your own hero. Maybe trust, or the ability to work smart versus hard so that you can have freedom and flexibility. Maybe a sense of worthiness and value so that you know you are good enough, right? So just think about what would be the antidotes, the qualities or resources that would be empowering and help you overcome those limiting beliefs that you've already identified. And breathe in each of those resources now. Breathing in worth, breathing in value, the ability to work smart, breathing in trust, surrender, love, compassion, empathy, whatever it is that you feel you could have used during all those difficult times that you could have benefited from. Breathe all of those resources in now. Good. Good, good, good. And then I want you now to imagine your mentor is going to step forward, and in their own unique way, they're going to sweep you clean of those limiting beliefs. Now, this might be maybe your mentor's saging you, or using a feather duster, or sprinkling fairy dust all over you, and that's clearing it out. Or maybe they're cutting cords to those old memories that kept you tied to the pain of the past and the beliefs of the past that have been holding you back. But they're getting in there and they're clearing all of that clutter out. They're sweeping you clean all the way down to the cellular level, inside, outside, everywhere, until you feel completely free and clear of that armor and those beliefs that you've been holding on to all these years. We're just clearing all of that out. And when that's complete, just nod your head yes. That's it. Make sure you get it all cleared out. Free and clear, cutting those cords, sweeping you completely clean and clear. Good. And then I want you to imagine now that younger you fully empowered without all those beliefs in place. And I want you to get back up on the video screen and replay all the old scenes and memories where you felt that way before. And this time you're going to replay it from the place of freedom and flexibility and all the power that you just breathed in through those resources. And just notice how different it's playing out this time. Maybe you're claiming your value in your work. Maybe you're practicing your own acknowledgement of yourself. Maybe you're aligning to freedom and flexibility. Maybe you're working smarter. Whatever it is that's helping you to overcome what happened in the past, I want you to visualize that happening now as your empowered, resourceful self. When that's complete, just nod your head yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. And then stepping down from that screen as the empowered younger you, I want you to turn to the younger you, the present day you now is going to turn to the younger you. And you can just whisper this to yourself. I am so sorry for the pain of the past. Just say that to the younger you. So sorry for the pain of the past. You just didn't have access to the resources and the wisdom I do now. And from now on, you can have access to these resources anytime you want. And I promise from this moment forward to love, honor, and cherish you completely. Good. And then I want you to allow the younger you to merge with the present day you, letting her grow up inside with all that love and forgiveness and the empowered resources and the lack of all those beliefs that weren't serving her anyway. We're gonna imagine her growing up without those beliefs in place. And then I want you to invite your higher, wiser you to join you if you haven't already. And we're gonna ask your higher, wiser, braver you, your hero self, what is an empowered new belief or two that will help you as you move forward as the present day you? So for example, I can work smart and create a life of freedom and flexibility that I desire. I am good enough, smart enough, and capable of doing anything I desire. Whatever it is that's going to help you turn that old belief system around, we're going to find an empowered, positive version of that. Just 1 or 2 lines here. And then with that empowered resource and belief in place now, I want you to let the hero version of yourself merge with the present day you. Thank your mentor for being here and sweeping you clean. And then let that fire disappear. And now I want you to step out into the future 1 month from today, where you've been practicing alignment to the resources that you identified and this empowered new truth for the last month. And I want you to notice, how is your life different with this empowerment in place? What have you created? What have you manifested over the last month because of this? I want you to visualize it, see it, imagine it happen. Good. And then going out into the future 6 months from today, where over 75% of the cells in your body have regenerated, and you've been practicing alignment with those resources and this empowered new truth now for the past 6 months. I want you to just notice, is that old belief system still happening, or is it just a thing of the past? And if it is happening, how are you handling it differently? See yourself handling it differently and notice what you're creating in your life as a result of this new way of being. Good. And then I want you to go out into the future now, 1 year from today, where hopefully by now you're living your life at a level 10, even if it's not all the time 24/7, you've increased your level of happiness and satisfaction with your life because of your alignment to those resources and that empowered truth of who you really are. And I want you to see, what is it that you've created over the last year as a result of your commitment to releasing what no longer serves you today? How has your life changed for the better? And I want you to see it, feel it, even taste it if you can. And know that this is happening because you decided once and for all to become your own hero and to do whatever it took to turn around what wasn't working and to create a life that you love. And the fact that you can even see this means it's already happening perfectly, naturally, effortlessly, without you even having to think about it. And as soon as all parts of you are ready to take this on, you can come back to the room and open your eyes when you're ready. Devon's got a beautiful smile on her face. Must have been a good vision. Yeah, just coming back to the room when you're ready. All right. So I want you to notice the difference in how you're feeling now compared to when we were talking about all the stuff that holds us back. It's different, isn't it? You guys feel a little bit lighter? Share with me what you're feeling right now. Hopeful, maybe? I'd love to hear.
I feel empowered.
You feel empowered. Tammy's feeling empowered. Devin says yes to feeling hopeful. She shook her head yes. Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. Just that slight mindset shift makes all the difference in the world, right? It gets you out of that victim mentality and into hero mentality. Okay, so with that, what I want to do is continue on with what we've been talking about today. Hang on a second here. Let me just share out the screen again. All right, so you've gotten just a little bit of taste around the journey. Now what I want to talk about are the 3 keys to self-rescue, right? We talked about the mistakes when it comes to self-rescue, and here are the 3 keys. The first key is to commit to grow. So having a growth mindset, looking at everything that happens to you as an opportunity for your growth, including the bad stuff and the hard stuff and the difficult things that we have to face each day, whether it's in work, in life, doesn't matter. Just looking at everything is happening for me rather than to me. Getting out of that victim mindset and moving toward hero involves you committing to your growth and looking at everything as an opportunity to grow and evolve. All right. The second commitment and key to self-rescue is to commit to healing and releasing what no longer serves you, right? So all the limiting beliefs, any forms of those self-sabotage that we talked about earlier, we need to work on those. We need to face and feel those things so that we can process and move through them. Because if we avoid feeling our pain, you know, what you resist will persist. Those things won't get better, they'll get bigger. And if you want your life to get better, you have to turn and face and heal what's no longer serving you. So really taking good stock and inventory of how you're sabotaging yourself and doing the work that's needed to heal that is of utmost importance. And then the third key to self-rescue is to commit to evolve, to change what's no longer working, and to create what you desire, right? If you want a life at a level 10, that means you're going to have to get out of your comfort zone and you're going to have to take brave-hearted action every single day to move towards that vision for greatness. So committing to your growth, to healing, and to evolution here are the 3 keys to self-rescue that I base everything and all the work that I do with my clients on. And so what I want to do is I want to share a quote with you here that I absolutely love. This is by John Wineland, who actually is a relationship expert, but I love this quote by him. And he says, "The amount of time that you spend cultivating and strengthening your life daily will directly be reflected by your happiness, your success, and your impact in the world. If you are not practicing alignment to your vision for success and happiness day in and day out, if you're not cultivating and strengthening your life daily towards that vision, you're not going to experience the happiness, success, and impact that you desire in the world. So if happiness, success, and impact are desires of yours, it means you've got to commit to the art of self-rescue. You've got to commit to becoming your own hero. And as I mentioned earlier, you're only one decision away from becoming your very own hero. And for me, I practice becoming my very own hero every day. Whenever there's something that I have to face that's not working in my life, I'm like, all right, if this was an opportunity for me to grow and evolve, how would I do it? How am I going to overcome this? That's what we say is becoming your own hero. It's making choices and decisions every single day to take back control of your life and to take personal responsibility for the reality that you're creating. And so I want you to just ask yourself, are you ready to commit to your own self-rescue? Now, if the answer is yes, you have 3 choices that you can make. You can change nothing. You don't have to do a thing. You can just keep doing what you've been doing, change nothing, and hope that it all gets better. Hope that you fill in what's missing without having to think too hard about it or do a lot of work. But you and I we all know that that's probably not going to make things change towards the better very quickly, if at all. I mean, I know the universe and the way it works is it's going to make you change whether you want to or not. Eventually, it's going to become big enough that you have to change. But you do have the choice right now to do nothing, to change nothing. The second choice you can make is to change on your own. So, all right, I'm not living my life at a level 10. How do I want to be living it? And make a decision to start filling in what's missing on your own. And that is a valid path. That's what I chose. Now, I chose that back in 2005. And over the last 18 years that I've been in business, I've been practicing becoming my own hero every single day. So anytime something's not working in my life, I have to sit back, take stock and inventory of what's not working, figure out what's going to work better, and take action to correct that. And it's taken me 18 years to get really good at practicing becoming my own hero every single day. 18 years is how long it's taken me to figure out how to change on my own. Right? So you could do that. You could take whatever amount of time it's going to take to figure this out on your own, and that will be beneficial to you for sure. Or you can get change. You can actually make a choice to create change in your life with help and support from someone who actually knows how to help you get the clarity and direction that you want. So if you're one of those people who doesn't know exactly what living life at a level 10 even looks like, and you don't have the clarity and the direction on where you're going, and you don't really know what stands in your way, like doing the self-discovery work around that is going to be life-changing for you. And if you have somebody who's gone through this process already and come up with a system, a step-by-step personalized support system, it can greatly accelerate the speed by which you're able to become your own hero. And if I can show you how to become your own hero, not just once, but every single day, whenever you're faced with a challenge that comes your way, this could be life-changing for you, not just for the moment, but for life. And that's where changing with support becomes the best option available to you. And so I just want to mention, like, this is what I do for a living. I teach women how to master the art of self-rescue. And I'm on a mission right now to teach as many women of impact, influence, and success around the world how to optimize their work and their life so that they can struggle less, serve more, and thrive with ease and grace. And over the years, when we talk about the self-rescue that I made a commitment to back in 2005 on October 25th, that morning around, I think it was 9 or 10 in the morning. I mean, I remember it so viscerally. When I made that decision to become my own hero and to become the change I wish to see in the world, like I said, I'm also known as the self-rescue goddess. The self-rescue goddess is my inner hero. And I wanted to become her so badly. I knew that the key to my self-rescue was to become that which I desire. In order to rescue myself, I had to become the self-rescue goddess. So I had to practice alignment to what it was that was going to help me save myself every single day. And over the years, as a result of my own self-rescue efforts, I actually created something called the Brave-Hearted Way, which is a personalized self-rescue compass, roadmap, and a journey. It's a step-by-step journey that teaches ambitious modern-day Wonder Women who lead how to master the art of self-rescue so that they can create both a career and a life that they love without the sabotage that leads to burnout, stress, and strife. And this is very personalized. This isn't something where I say, go do this. This is a lot of self-discovery work where you get to figure out what's my unique self-rescue work. And so this is my invitation to you. If you're ready to learn how to master the art of self-rescue, I can definitely show you how. And the invitation that I have for you today to take action, if you want to receive some help and support with this in your own life, is to take advantage of this complimentary free gift that I'm offering you from my heart to yours. And that is a self-rescue assessment and a Brave Life Discovery Consult. So, 60 minutes of one-on-one private time with me, a value of over $300, where you'll receive the following. Number one, you'll get to assess your own self-rescue needs so you can gain clarity on where you are now and the desires that will lead you to the greatness that you desire. Number two, you'll clarify the saboteurs that hold you back so you can overcome and release what stands in your way. And number three, you'll discover a unique and personalized path of self-rescue that will empower you to live a life of courage, authenticity, and wholeness without all the hustle, the bustle, and the burnout that you've been experiencing. And if that's of interest to you, I want you to just think about this. Are you ready to become your very own hero? If so, all you have to do is click on the link, and I'll share this link here in the chat here in a moment after we take questions. you can click on this link that's provided here and sign up for the self-rescue assessment. You do not have to do the consult, but at the end of the assessment is an opportunity to also sign up for the discovery consult as well. So you can either just do the self-rescue assessment. If you're choosing to move forward on your own, sign up for the self-rescue assessment, and that will give you some clarity and direction. But if you want to explore what getting some help and support would look like, that'll help you accelerate your results and your efforts, be sure to sign up and schedule the Brave Life Discovery Consult. That'll be available to you at the end of that. And if that doesn't work and you want to learn how to master the art of self-rescue sort of on the peripheral, you can actually follow me on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube, where you can also get some insight and awareness on how to become your own hero. So I'll share the links for staying connected as well as the free gift here in the chat. And I know we're pretty much at time. We're just a little bit over in time. I want to just check in and see if there are any questions based on what we've talked about today. Hang on a second. I've got to, I'm trying to cancel out here so I can get control of my keyboard again and give you those links. Okay, here we go. All right, so the first link is the link to the Jumpstart or the consult and the assessment. And then the remaining links are my social media links. So feel free to check those out when you get a chance. Any question, any feedback or takeaways from today that you guys might want to share? Anything that really stood out for you?
Well, since I'm in a private session, that was a lot. And I believe a lot of us have all of that. The thing that struck me in the very, start of, when you were saying about how, you recognized in 2005, that you didn't like where you were. And then I don't know if it was either Devin or Jess that said you just had to work. Me, growing up, it was the poverty mindset.
Yeah.
And I'm kind of struggling with that right now. It's like, how is it okay that beggars can't be choosers? And my whole family thinks like that now.
Yeah.
So that's something to definitely get over, or put it in its place or whatever.
Yeah.
And then with the screen and everything, and when we were younger, I think if somebody would have just grabbed my hand and said, go this way, that would have helped a lot. And that's why I'm always an advocate for children too.
Yeah.
Come follow me.
Yeah.
But I'm definitely going to probably get your self-rescue assessment and go further. Do you live in our area?
I do. I
Oh,
do.
good.
But all of the work that I do can be done online, including the private one-on-one. So
Okay.
Distance does not have to be a factor. And I appreciate your truth and your honesty about how this was for you. And you're right, it can be a lot. When we actually take the time to figure out and face and feel what's holding us back, that can be a really challenging thing. So I just want to honor that you are willing to share that as a takeaway. This isn't easy stuff. We all are faced with hard things in our life, and sometimes we are embarrassed and ashamed to talk about it. But at the end of the day, there's real strength in your vulnerability because it helps you see that actually you're not the only one that's feeling. I guarantee you, every single person who watches this later or who has participated in this live is getting some measure of value out of this and seeing where they could benefit from maybe overcoming their own self-sabotage. Like, what we're talking about is part of the human condition. There's not a single one of us that's free and clear of self-sabotage. So even though it is uncomfortable to talk about and face, it is normal for all of us to go through this process. And at some point, it becomes necessary for us to deal with that self-sabotage and move the needle forward so that we can actually take back responsibility for our life and like I said, become our own heroes. So just by signing up for the assessment itself, Tammy, I think you're going to get a lot more clarity around the direction you're moving toward. And there's some great self-discovery questions that I think are going to help you move the needle forward, even if you don't decide to sign up for the free consult that's available at the end of the assessment. So that part's optional, but if you do, then just find a time that works and I'll be happy to meet with you.
Great, thank you.
Thank you so much.
I appreciate that, this feels like a private session.
Yeah, you're welcome. All right. Anyone else have any questions?
I have a couple of questions.